It's Friday, and that means we are back with more North American SCC Championship action. We had 4 best-of-3s yesterday, and we're back with 4 best-of-3s here today. Now, today's matches spice up a little bit because we've got some elimination games, teams going home, and teams moving on a little bit closer to the next round of play. So the action at an all-time high here in the North American SCC. My name is Dolson. Mifflin joins me, but we're going to talk just a bit about the direction that we're heading here over the next couple of weeks and our road to Worlds. So we've been showing this graphic for a little while now. We had the Phase 3 playoffs. We already did Road to Worlds over in EU. Now we are halfway through the list at the Road to Worlds North America. So a couple more days, I guess 3 more counting today. 2 SCC, or I suppose SOC teams, will move on to that January 5 through 8 weekend, and that'll be our SWC group stage where we will send our final 4 teams onto the SWC championship stage in the quarterfinals. That'll begin on January 13th at the Smite World Championship, live in person with fans in Arlington, Texas. So about halfway through the Road to Worlds, and of course about halfway through Group B here in the North American Smite Challenger Circuit Championship. Yesterday, saw the Athenian Sages take down the Blubber Bottoms and the Yomi Tanuki with a 2-0 over the Shabalba Storm. Miff, couple 2-0s yesterday. You think that maintains pace here in Group B today?
I would expect at least one 3-gamer, right? Like at least one's got to go the distance if you just play the odds.
Right. You would think.
You would think. But looking at the matchups, I mean, there's a couple matchups here I'd probably consider a bit one-sided.
Which ones?
It's not for me to say. It's not for me to say.
Literally is for you to say, Miff. It is for you to say. Maybe Shabalba Storm over Blubber Bottoms. You're considering the Storm favorites in that one. Sages versus Tanuki. That'll be our last match of the day. Remember, the top sides of these brackets, not knockout matches, just the bottom sides. So the Sages and the Tanuki. Little extra room to play for later on today. Now we're going to start our day over in Group A. That's where the Eldritch Hounds found a 2-0 win over We Pull Up yesterday. The Cowlin Wardens with a 2-1 win over the Weavers. Therefore, our first matchup isn't an elimination game, and it's We Pull Up against the Weavers, both teams suffering a loss yesterday. And a bit later on today, the winner side of this bracket, the Hounds and the Wardens, in an advancement match, will keep our action going. So We Pull Up versus the Weavers here, Miff. A couple teams that suffered a loss yesterday, hoping to bounce back today.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. And when you evaluate these squads, Dave,
Yep.
I think you probably got to start with the challengers, and not the Challenger Circuit team. I'm talking about the underdogs. We Pull Up out of the SOC, and more specifically, I really enjoyed what we saw from PandaTurtle out of the jungle. I felt like he was really dominant in his role. Even when the team was struggling a bit, was still able to get active on map. And when you're able to make your playmaker is able, rather, to get active regardless of game state, it always gives you a comeback condition. It always gives you a win condition as well.
Now, Miff, you're absolutely right. I think We Pull Up a team coming out of the SOC that has enough name power behind them that could go a bit longer on here in this tournament. And I do agree that PandaTurtle's a fantastic place to start because in the set yesterday, now the Hounds, the overwhelming favorites here in North America, and Oath, maybe the best player in the North American SCC. And so keeping pace with Oath was the job for PandaTurtle yesterday. Now fell a bit short in a couple of the games, but I do think Miff could be an X factor today for this We Pull Up team.
And I don't think PandaTurtle needs to hold himself to that high standard, right? You can count the amount of players in North America on one hand that are going to keep pace with Oath. And I would argue PandaTurtle did a very good job of it, even with these more eclectic selections. We talk about playmakers. Tier's been one out of the solo lane. PandaTurtle said, well, I'm going to play him in the jungle regardless, and looks very good for it. Just able to single-handedly facilitate a couple of these team fights or even 100-0 with the lead. I like what the Tier brings. I like what that style of play brings, and I want to see more of it.
I agree. But you know what makes this matchup so unique is We Pull Up. They're going up against the Weavers, and this is a team that struggled to close out sets all phase long in Phase 3 of the Smite Challenger Circuit. Consistently finding 3 games, going the distance, going all 3, but just never could get over that hump. And already a 3-game set in their SCC championship weekend. Again, suffer a loss in that game 3. And so I suppose seeding-wise, you're favoring this Weavers team. But history-wise, this matchup actually becomes very, very interesting. And so the Anansi Weavers here, Myth, Diesel, JinguBang, Sops, ChinFu, BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM.
I'm sorry, what was that last one?
BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM, your
Got it.
favorite, BSTJ. Yep. But I think the jungle matchup, hyper important in this game. And so ChinFu, who had a really nice set yesterday despite a Game 3 loss, now also has a difficult jungle matchup going up against PandaTurtle.
Yeah, and the adaptations from ChinFu going into this event were, you know, being over-eclectic during the regular phase and maybe at the last couple of land showings. Now, we're getting a bit more back in that standard. Pele has been looking very good, this very mobile, hyper-aggressive selection that can get involved very early on. The Gilgamesh, just facilitating those team fights, being a massive backline disruption, is a departure from what we'd become accustomed to seeing from him, which was things like Hercules jungle and, for some reason, Sylvanas jungle as well. And I'm sure maybe still has some of those in the God Pool, just has to fight a couple of his teammates for the right to play the Sylvanas. I believe it was Big Slim who had piloted it a couple times for the Anansi Weavers in their last set. But where both of these junglers like to get aggressive in the early, I think we have to talk about how the God Pools that have been displayed start to stray a little bit into that late game. ChinFu, every pick he's got scales pretty well, or at least is very strong in the team fight.
Yeah.
Whereas late game, some of the picks PandaTurtle was going for, namely that tier, starts to fall off. So if we're going to see the same drafts from both teams, I would argue We Pull Up likely needs to get off to a much faster start.
Yeah, I'm glad you bring up eclectic picks, because it wasn't only in the jungle. We did see a Sylvanas yesterday for this Weavers team. Was not over in the jungle, though. A solo lane for BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM. One game, blown out of the water. Didn't look good at all. The next game actually looked pretty solid for the Weavers. So some adaptations maybe from them, maybe from We Pull Up. We'll find out in picks and bans for game number 1 of this best-of-3 set. Remember, this is an elimination best-of-3. Loser goes home. Winner on to the next round. Still a chance to advance. And then the last couple of matches we have today will be advancement matchups. So, as we start to roll through picks and bans here, Miff, the answer on the Sylvanas is just ban it away. I guess it's a high enough potential style of pick that even if it's deal-withable, the We Pull Up squad don't want to try to deal with it.
I guess. I mean,
are you spending a ban on Sylvanas?
No.
Okay.
I feel like the answer to Sylvanas is pretty clear. It's, especially in the soul lane, it's very similar to the answer to Cthulhu, which is camp him, except it's even easier because he hasn't got a mobile CC immune massive ultimate that is continually knocking you up and creating space and facilitating allies when they show up. So if it is going to be Sylvanas for any of these teams, the Weavers namely, I would just say, okay, awesome. We're going to play safe in every other lane, have our jungler sit there, and keep rolling pressure through them. But no need to analyze it. Sylvanas already off the table instead.
Yep.
The Ishtar pick, I love. You get early pressure wherever she goes. Could be mid, could be in the duo lane. But the answer from We Pull Up, I think, equally strong. Thor has really, really risen in my personal power rankings. And also has some of that flex potential that Ishtar has, solo and jungle for this Thor.
You're right, could see it over in solo lane for Uzzy, also for PandaTurtle, and we've talked a lot about the jungle matchup and how important that's going to be. I also think duo lane could be a sneaky, interesting matchup here in this set. Diesel yesterday, despite a loss, had to keep pace with Griff, who had one of the best 2-game stints we've seen from an AD carry in the last couple of weeks, and Diesel was able to step up to the plate a couple of times. So I look there as well over in duo and what DonutDoug can maybe do to match some of that pressure. Cernunnos, not a bad place to start. Saw a bit of Camazotz yesterday. It was not the best performance in the game that I'm remembering here, Miff, but do you think it still has a spot in the meta?
I think Camazotz is very strong. He's more so a counter selection. I feel like Camazotz is really, really good against the majority of stealth picks in the game because of how Screech operates, or even Vampiric Bats, applying that dot damage. If you already have a pretty CC-heavy composition, Camazotz brings plenty of damage to flank it and is safe as well. But picking it this high in your draft, this early, looking at the selections from We Pull Up already, I don't see anything in particular where you're saying, yeah, Camazotz is really good at dealing with X pick. It's, yeah, Camazotz deals damage and he's generally going to be very safe, has a bit of flex potential, I think is the extent of the Weaver's thought process in going that high up in their priority order. But as far as whether or not he's got a place in the meta, I think so. Any god that deals that much damage and has that much safety is going to be able to, find his way in every now and then.
That's right. Now, Miff, we talk about early game aggression and the ability to stay active in team fight, really, especially. I think We Pull Up have a pretty solid composition for that. Obviously, you have an Artio who wants to run in, but you look at Thor and Horus. Both of those ultimates in different ways. Thor can drop ship himself in, but Horus, team-style mobility with it to the skies. Do you think this We Pull Up squad has an identity that wants to move forward, stay aggressive, jump on top of the Anansi Weavers?
High CC, high initiation, really good ability to stay involved in the team fights thanks to the in-combat healing from Artio, as well as Horus giving over a little bit of sustain as well. This We Pull Up composition so far is just run it down. I really like how it's going to operate. Looking at how it's going into the Weavers draft, though, counter initiation pretty strong. Being so single target focused on We Pull Up means that Osiris is going to have a bit of an easier time thanks to the damage mitigation from Tether. Ymir, as strong as he is in disengage, can make it very difficult for some of these lacking leap or lacking teleport picks from We Pull Up to actually maneuver themselves into the backline. But if We Pull Up are able to establish a lead, I imagine they could start to run away with it. I would like to see this last pick for We Pull Up be a little bit more burst damagey. I want to see some mage damage here.
Yeah, you would expect it, especially still needing their mid lane pick, we assume. One of my favorite compositions yesterday was closer to the end of the day. Maybe it was literally our last game of the day where it was the Ram and the Ra. And that ability to kind of create some skill shots and skill moments was a lot of fun to watch. We'll have a skill shot. God being locked over into the mid lane. Myth of Vulcan's going to round out the draft. I believe for the Weavers here. Oh, Vulcan for We Pull Up, rather.
Back, everyone, as we jump back into game. Didn't miss too much. You can see time. I only had a minute in. And Trelly, it's the Weavers. It's We Pull Up. And we weren't diving deep into too much other than I was just marveled at. Is that even a term, marveled? I guess so.
I think so.
At the soul pick. Because there was a period of time, I think it was before the Stellar Burst got nerfed, like, what's that, last year, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago? She was like the mid laner and controlling a lot of games, but she just kind of disappeared, thrown into the duo lane every now and then. And, sometimes a safe pick, but really has not been at the top of the list when it comes down to the magical carries that exist.
Yeah, and that's something that kind of surprised me. Once she got her buffs, Stellar Burst got some extra scaling as well as every tick of Supernova. Got like 5% extra scaling, so I figured the Burst Soul build would come back into fruition at least a little bit. But I think the way Soul Reaper is building the Soul is actually, what you should be doing in mid. You can get this Mana Conceptor online early. You realize, hey, there's a Camazotz, but he's probably going over to blue buff right about now, so if I have pressure, I can walk over to red buff, steal it very easily, and still make it out. In this case, probably pretty poked out, doesn't have the HP to actually make a play like that. As long as you reckon it. Actually, look, he's going for it, so now there's a fight over and right, while Soul Reaper's trying to engage on that red buff.
Trying to get some damage onto Uzzy, eating maybe too much in return. PandaTurtle has a lot to fight with Uzzy. Able to get aggressive, good hit by the hammer. It looks like the stun's going to be enough. BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM, ChinFu, both incredibly low. ChinFu, virtually no mana to work with. And they're going to end up staying alive, but just barely so under the tier 1 on right. You had mentioned the invade on the red buff, successful by Soul Reaper. And TeepIsBald. So able to steal that one away. Don't pick it up, but they strip it away from Sops, which is just a big win.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that Hunters in the mid lane were always so strong, because usually you can't solo a red buff as a mage. It's just so difficult to do. TeepIsBald going to take a bit of damage, but does have JinguBang at dash too. It's going to be just fine there. Point is, you can't really do your own red buff as a mage. It's so difficult. Like with Vulcan, you got your turret, yeah, it's fine. But as long as you know where the enemy jungle is, you can make those plays. You can step up, solo the buff with Mana Conceptor, and still get out just fine with enough HP to continue farming. So I think that's one of the reasons that Soul is pretty strong currently in the early game. Then as the game continues, could be rough. But ChinFu does have the wraparound here. If he hits everything, Soul Reaper could be gone.
Yeah, Soul Reaper, no mana to work with. Beads can't do anything for you there. Maybe one of the easiest ganks that ChinFu is going to see this entire tournament. Walks up, just gets the kill, like you said, hits everything. And now all that work for that red buff, that small advantage, going to be stripped away by ChinFu with the invade. Oh, taking a little bit of damage. The Scepter doing its best. but it can only do so much. TeepIsBald tries to showcase what they have to offer. Sops is going to use this time, though, to just go ahead and back, finish up an item, find a nice healthy reset.
Yeah, using that Earthshaker just to get some extra clear, trying to pull the beads from DonutDoug. Not going to be the call, but PandaTurtle goes to the sky and off the mark with just about everything there. So not going to pull any relics, either one of these teams. And going to continue the farm game, as you said. But I do like the presence that ChinFu has put on towards this mid lane. As a Vulcan, you don't want to get behind. You know, as long as you're able to stay relatively even with Soul, your burst damage is going to scale so well. So if you're not getting your red buff consistently invaded or out-cleared, then it's going to be just fine. And that's something Sops definitely wants to keep an eye on. That XP differential, level 6 to Soul Reaper's level 5. And that does start to add up, especially when you can use that turret to farm even faster throughout the map.
Have to expect a lot of damage. Good freeze, good follow-up with the meatball. But a nice wall from the other side. PandaTurtle's going to be able to isolate JinguBang a little longer. Forces the shell. That's a lot of damage dumped into the support, but no kills picked off of it. Just goes to show something to be a little worried about, right? That combo that could come out. JinguBang just waiting around the corner for him. At any given time, you have the capabilities of a freeze that could find you. BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM, hardly any health to work with. And is potentially trying to draw Uzzy either into battle or away from the blue buff. Is successful at both of those. Keeps the fight going a little longer. ChinFu's able to invade, steal a blue, and run away. So it's small wins. I mean, you know, we're not talking about a lot of kills that have shown up for the Anansi Weavers just yet. They've been able to isolate the Soul early on, but now invade the red buff, invade the blue buff, and at least hit the reset button on their own jungle to slow down We Pull Up.
I'm really curious where Uzzy's going to go with this build. He's got the tier 2 Rod of Healing, but is he going to continue into Rod of Asclepius or just leave it at that tier 2 and grab some defense? I mean, he's up against Osiris, who's got 100% anti-heal, and of course, ChinFu probably going to go into Brawlers eventually into that build. There's a lot of sustain on the side of We Pull Up, but it just feels like early on, you could just be doing lots of damage to ChinFu, going to force out that bat out of hell. I was going to say you're susceptible to these ganks because you don't have any defense, but looks like Artio with some extra damage online just fine. Kind of swinging in the early, especially onto these less tanky junglers. ChinFu just does not have the prots to actually deal with that as PandaTurtle once again goes to the sky and not going to use that Anvil of Dawn aggressively.
I do want to give Anvil of Dawn a lot of credit because, you know, we always talk about, like, God audio. But just the gentle hover of a Thor in the air, that was a very, like, just nice noise in the background.
That's the credit you're giving it?
That's the credit I'm giving. It's like, even when it's not being used for, like, he moved from the side of the jungle to mid lane. Diesel, looking for a fight, found a fight, forced DonutDoug to fall back. Yeah, he wasn't accomplishing much with that ult. He was just being a bully and forcing people to stay under the tower. Speaking of being a bully, PandaTurtle is stepping over, steps up, finds the damage, and with no mana to work with, it does not matter. PandaTurtle and Uzzy return the 1 kill from earlier back onto BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by that play. I thought BIGSLIM was trying to use that ultimate to force out something from Uzzy, but just continued with the onslaught, thinking there was more damage to be had. I mean, that Osiris with tier 2 Shoguns really doesn't have any kill potential onto Artio there, and it wasn't like ChinFu was around the corner. PandaTurtle made it much faster than ChinFu did, so a little unfortunate. Now Soul Reaper in a little bit of trouble, forced into the Disapparate, as well as using that Supernova to try and get some CC immunity, but was immune just in time to not get hit by the Earthshaker. Either way, game tied up 1-1, and the gold lead looking pretty similar as well, relatively even 8 minutes into this one. Yeah,
nothing too crazy, although I think we're seeing, in my eyes, consistent engage from the Weavers that is... It's got a little bit of a struggle, luckily for Soul Reaper, and you know, this is the other half of the Soul conversation. You had mentioned the prowess of the early game. I also think there's something to be said about the fact that Disapparate, like those beads have not been used just yet. When eventually, presumably, an Aegis gets picked up for Soul Reaper, probably not going to get used a whole ton either. Just having that kind of cooked into the kit feels pretty solid, and that's going to be a lot of safety mechanisms. Makes it very difficult for ChinFu to do their job in mid. Outside of that one very early gank where it was low health plus low mana for the mid laner on We Pull Up. Also, not a lot of conversation around the duo lane. I mean, outside of Diesel, you know, beating on DonutDoug there a second ago, we haven't really seen too much. I mean, neither of the jungles are showing up over here. The support's left very early. In fact, they're showing some help elsewhere. BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM has to play this carefully. Too much low health, too much aggression. Luckily, JinguBang joined the fight alongside ChinFu, and that's going to be enough to force WePullUp to fall back. But right now, it seems like bullying the Osiris is the name of the game for the Chaos Squad.
Yeah, I'm curious who's going to pull beats first, because Diesel and DonutDoug have just been going back and forth, dropping ults, dropping CC, trying to force out anything, but the relics just have not been going through. We saw that one attempted gank on the left side of the map where PandaTurtle went up, was looking for Diesel, didn't find it. So these ADCs have been sitting on an island just trying to stay safe, whereas a good blink in, maybe just for the Scorpion is the call, but now Soul Reaper could be in some trouble. PandaTurtle's in the sky.
And nice two-man dunk from the Thor as well, forces the bat out of hell. Immediately, ChinFu goes for some aggression on the Soul Reaper. Gets the damage onto PandaTurtle, but a nice little teleport gets him out of there. Instead, it's JinguBang, who was left isolated, left alone, and killed off. BIGSLIM in the back, jumps onto the Soul, tries to get the damage out there, but the body blocks are almost too good. Finally, someone put Soul Reaper in the ground. The rest of the Anansi Weavers are going to back off. Not a lot of mana or health to work with on either side, and it's going to go 1-for-1.
It's going to be relatively even once again. Just trading 1-for-1 in that situation. I didn't think that JinguBang was going to be the best target for all the damage there from WePullUp, but I guess it was, hey, let's invade the Scorpion while we also do some good damage to this Ymir. That was the call from Supernova. But XP differential throughout the map. I mean, Uzzy's up a level, of course, but if you look over to Soul Reaper, down 2 levels to sops currently. And then the duo lane, just TeepIsBald, able to have a level lead. Now just climbing up to 2. So kind of split throughout the map. Still a relatively even game throughout, but I'm thinking if the Weavers can play through sops and play through this Vulcan turret, they do have plenty of objective DPS, whether that be to the Pyromancer that spawned in a minute ago, or the Gold Fury, and they've got incredible burst for it as well. They really have whatever they want to in this case, because both ADCs also have crit, which helps out with that objective burn just as easily. ChinFu is here. Saw Lord of the Afterlife use. I'm wondering if PandaTurtle wants to go to the sky. It doesn't have the ultimate yet, but they're blinking in.
Yeah, it's going to be enough aggression. Uzzy doesn't have any mana to work with, but there's the Thor wall, there's the hammer. Just off the mark, the damage isn't there to kill off the Osiris. PandaTurtle, just a couple of misses there. Ends up missing out on a big kill for his team and turning something around that maybe would have helped Uzzy.
Yeah, now possible blue buff invade. PandaTurtle gets frozen and will not be able to step up. So that's going to be the end of this one. I still think Pyromancer could be looked at, but with sops around, it seems like WePullUp does not want to try and overexert themselves. Earthshaker, just too much easy confirm for that objective. Supernova's nice, but it's sort of a tick burst damage, whereas Earthshaker is just very confirmed, very easy to land, especially on a small thing like Pyromancer.
I mean, half the time you can miss an Earthshaker and still hit. Like, it's just big.
Yeah, that's true. You could just predict, and it's just completely wrong. And that works out. PandaTurtle off the mark once again, was out of range. The wall not going to connect, and that's going to be it. But JinguBang maybe trying to find a good wall here.
Finds it. Gets a good freeze onto PandaTurtle. TeepIsBald goes to the back. What a double tap from PandaTurtle. I was going to call him out for all of the things that we've seen be just too shy. Makes up for it with a beautiful hit there. And in the blink of an eye, Diesel's gone.
Yeah, TeepIsBald with the knock-up is the setup for that one. Those freehand double taps are crisp. You don't expect that much damage when it comes through. Always going to be worth it. WePullUp now pulls ahead in this game. Close to 1,000 gold, not quite that point, so still not going to be too crazy, but getting some relics down from Diesel, that beads, is definitely going to be a strong suit. If this Ishtar pushes up too far over on the left side, maybe susceptible to another Thor dunk. Anvil of Dun connecting this time in 100-0 territory with that Transcendence and that Crusher online for sure. And that does give DonutDoug a little bit more pressure in that lane, which means WePullUp, going to go for this Gold Fury. Sops on the way, but it looks like too little too late. That's going to be a free Fury.
It looked like it could have been that balancing point of suddenly having to figure out, do we have the damage to kill it fast enough? They had more than enough to kill it fast enough. I guess that's the double auto attacker coming into this. Now, Uzzy is going to be a little too aggressive there, and I mean, hangs out way longer than necessary. I understand PandaTurtle's on the way, but just dancing on the tier 1 tower line and allowing a lot of free damage from ChinFu. It's So Uzzy just kind of forfeits his life, and the Weavers look better because of it.
Yeah, Uzzy is relatively tanky now with the breastplate, but still, diving that far is not going to be the best call with Brawler's Beatstick and Lord of the Afterlife available. You're not able to sustain that much. You can see there was a little bit of brawl there. I think ChinFu was trying to go underneath the tower there with Bat Out of Hell, but PandaTurtle able to live long enough and actually go up into the sky.
He could land on ChinFu. This seems just, yeah, okay, I was going to say absurdly dangerous of a decision to make. And you know what, Trelly? He seems to think so too. He doesn't take it. He's 2-0-1. He's still sacking the Transcendence. I mean, you know, it's fun to give a little bit of hell because, like, we've seen some walls that were off the mark, some hammers that maybe haven't connected that could have been kills. So far, though, at least the last few minutes from PandaTurtle have been decently on point.
Now Pyromancer going to start it up here by the Weavers, and that means no one from We Pull Up.
There's not a soul.
Yeah, I was going to say Uzzy was almost on the way, and then a wall showed up from JinguBang. Now Ymir wanted to make sure there was no attempts at a steal. That's going to help bring the gold a little bit back in favor. We Pull Up still ahead, but not able to grab that Pyro in this case. Playing towards that late game is definitely the call. I look at these junglers. I mean, ChinFu and PandaTurtle have been looking consistently for those ganks. Not working out all the time, but both sitting at 2-0-1, a part of total 3 kills. So the aggression is certainly not stopped from either one of these squads. I think, you know, late game doesn't favor one or the other either. The Horus is going to be harder to lock down than a Ymir, but as long as JinguBang is positioning well and using those walls accordingly, you know, your front line is going to be looking very solid. It's all about initiation, and whether that be a wall into a freeze from Ymir or an Anvil of Dawn or a blink fracture from TeepIsBald, both one of these squads has no problem just sitting back and power farming until level 20 when both of these carries are online. And that seems to be the plan so far.
It's a little dangerous when we've seen that occur, though, right? I mean, we see that a lot in Europe. Like, sometimes you just wait until a big team fight. Granted, they've definitely been trying for more here in North America. It's just about whether or not you can find it. Diesel steps too far forward. The beads mean nothing. PandaTurtle uses another Anvil of Dawn, a wall. That helps get DonutDoug on the board there. Now, part of 4 out of 4 kills for the jungler. I have to give the shout out to the Deaths. They highlighted them. And you know, I thought they were going to be impact players, but this is a double impact, double tap from PandaTurtle. Almost enough to chase down ChinFu. Bat Out of Hell is going to be enough to get the Camazotz out of there. Not enough to save the Vulcan, though. And the Supernova from Soul Reaper helps solve that problem. Now JinguBang couldn't tell you why the team is this far. We Pull Up is going to chase him under the tier 2 because they smell blood in the water. And they're going to completely ignore the towers around him. Teleport from the Osiris into a 2v1. They're going to strip the tower away, and it looks like they're just going to use the Horus ult to get out of here. And that's going to be the teleport down. Actually, no, that's even better. They just old-fashioned ran over there from the Osiris. And so creates a lot of space for Uzzy to just farm up.
Yeah, it seemed like Big Slim probably thought, hey, my Ymir's going to survive for a bit. I can maybe dive this tower, help out. Soul Reaper going to be falling down, but now ChinFu is in danger of getting double tapped, and it doesn't connect, but the spin is going to confirm that one. We Pull Up, pull ahead, 7-4 in the kill department. That duo lane is looking pretty disgusting, but look at the levels throughout this map. Pretty much everyone has a level or 2 up. We Pull Up, farming extremely well.
They heard me say the phrase, we've seen something similar to this in Europe, and they said, no, that ain't us. And immediately, I mean, we're talking 3 kills, 4 kills in 2 minutes, all of a sudden. Well played by We Pull Up and the Weavers, but you have to give We Pull Up even more credit. Almost 4,500 gold, just a little under in their favor. Well, Soul Reaper respawning just in time. Primal Fury is going to be back up in 10. Feels like there's a lot of opportunity for We Pull Up to continue pushing that limit as far as they want. You're looking for those little plays, right? And I'm keeping my eyes on PandaTurtle. There's a good wall, good double tap, things like that. Just suddenly make sops feel more uncomfortable. You're not getting enough return damage back onto the jungler to make it feel like PandaTurtle's pressured out for the trouble that they are causing. When you have Anvil of Dawn, you also have to imagine that's just, even if you don't decide to use it to go in for an engagement, it's also just a massive ward that all of a sudden you go up in the sky, you can see no one's nearby. or you can look for a kill. Diesel going to be just off the mark. Beads forced early. Ult thrown out. It's not going to connect, but the damage is a little better from the carry than it is from the Thor. There's a side skirmish, and Soul Reaper's taking way too much damage in the process, but ChinFu dives too deep. The shell goes big. JinguBang goes down, and now the chase is on. Diesel trying to stay alive, but just use the relics, just use the utility. And while your team's falling around you, there's nothing you can do. The carries are alive for the Weavers, but they're going to have to watch as the Fury goes down. They watch as 3 of their teammates disappear, and there's nothing they can do. In fact, they shouldn't even be at their own purple. PandaTurtle puts an extra one on the board just cuz.
Diesel was so unaware of PandaTurtle's positioning. The walk around into the wall, the double tap, that pretty much confirms this fire giant because Sops is nowhere near. We pull up, is going to let Soul Reaver split push and grab a tier 2 tower in the process while the rest of the team steals away some jungle and takes that fire giant down. The SOC team looking real clean in game number 1. Up a ton of gold, but map state also certainly looking in their favor. 8,000, and it's only going to continue to climb with that Trebuchet doing the last of that tier 2 tower. It's about time they maybe did push for one more wave. I was going to say back up, spend that gold, and group up for the push. I'm just watching PandaTurtle now. Wherever Anvil of Dawn or even a wall into double tap is going to be, there's going to be some big damage numbers following, especially when he's got 4,000 gold in hand.
My mind still absolutely blown. I mean, how low Soul Reaper was. Borderline dead. Back to full health by the time they hit mid lane. Like, I mean, surviving through that fight, one of the things Soul can bring to the table. And look, 2, 3, and 4. It's a really, really good counting slash line, but maybe not the one that you want KDA-wise to look and pop off and be flashy. When your jungler's 5-0 and 4, your carry's 3-0 and 3. In fact, PandaTurtle's looking to make that 6-0 and 4 if he can. Good wall from JinguBang. I don't know if ChinFu wants this fight. Has Bat out of hell. And a little bit of healing, so should be able to survive through this. Forces the Aegis and the beads from PandaTurtle. There's going to be the Earthshaker. Lands onto Uzzy. And seemingly out of nowhere, a fight has begun. JinguBang might be isolated now. Diesel gets soloed out by DonutDoug over and left. And the rest of the team has to fall back here. Numbers advantage going to We pull up. And they are going to pull up right to the tower line. Excited with what they're doing here. The Osiris trying to fight it out. Get some good damage onto DonutDoug. Not going to be able to find the kill, though. It's too much help from the team. You have to maybe admire the tenacity to go for it, Trelly. If not the decision to actually fight.
Yeah, I suppose the 4-0 shutdown would have been massive, but you got to imagine if Big Slim was helping underneath this Phoenix, maybe they're able to keep it up a little longer. Sops, no beads, even through the beads, it's going to be absolutely deleted, and JinguBang probably coming here soon with some help from Uzzy and DonutDoug on the way. The left side bird is down, they only want one, and ChinFu can't even make it to the fountain.
Yeah, and look, TeepIsBald, that death is ceremonial at best. Walks into the fountain. And Trelly, I don't know when it happened. I guess it was around the 16, 17 minute mark. It was dead even, maybe 1,000 gold in favor of We Pull Up. Balanced on a knife's edge, 3-3. Blink and you miss it. Suddenly they're up 7-4. Then you blink again and it's 14-6 or whatever. I mean, they played so cleanly in those last few minutes on We Pull Up. When they finally coalesced, maybe it was a little bit of a warm-up there on the Thor, but PandaTurtle really stepped up.
Yep.
It just suddenly, they just opened up the can of worms, and there's nothing the Weavers could do about it.
Yeah, it seems like so many times throughout last week and this week, I've been talking about, after we see some good Thor gameplay, why is this God getting through? At the beginning, we weren't having that conversation, but now I'm definitely echoing that.
We're there again.
Maybe it's time we take that Thor away from PandaTurtle.
Yeah, you got to control him somehow. We'll see if it's going to be the Thor ban or maybe they try to pick it a little earlier and not let him have it. We'll find all that out about game number 2. But right now, it's We Pull Up who took game number 1. We'll kick it to a quick break, and when we get back, it will be game 2.
The SOC team in game number 1, finding the advantage in our best-of-3 set now. Just one game away from eliminating the Weavers and advancing themselves, I guess, to the next stage of this bracket, but not to the next round just yet. Now, both of these teams played some Gilgamesh yesterday. You at home, hopefully you're playing some Gilgamesh. And if you want to look cool while playing Gilgamesh, you want to get your hands on the Smite World Championship Digital Loot Pack. Remember, we are in the middle of the Road to Worlds right now. This is the last weekend, then we take a couple of weeks off. We're back at it early on in January. So if the world spirit is starting to flow a bit, the SWC Digital Loot Pack available in-game now, of course featuring Atlantis, Leviathans, Gilgamesh, and a whole bunch of other really, really cool skins. A fantastic way to celebrate Worlds and all of the excitement at the end of the year being just around the corner. And celebrating game number 1, Miff, our we pull up. And technically the underdog seeding-wise, feels like they really overwhelmed the Weavers here in game 1. By the end of it, it was a very even game, and we highlighted the jungle. Eventually, the Thor just kind of took over the game and blew the Weavers out of the water.
Yeah, I mean, at this level of play, now in Europe and North America, it just seems like when a Thor gets rolling, he stays rolling. I mean, it's like Newton's first law, something about inertia or something like that. An object in motion tends to stay in motion. And PandaTurtle does exactly that. Mechanical skill certainly there, lands everything he needs to. And once you're like 5-0, the next 3 are pretty quick to roll afterward. But I think it's not a game that is won by an individual. This one was won by a team. And we pull up, look strong as a squad. I loved how they played around their initiation. Teep closing gap very consistently on the priority targets. Uzzy making sure that even some of the more mobile people on Anansi Weavers had a struggle thanks to that cripple field. And just no mistakes in the laning phase. Nobody getting over-aggressive or missing out on opportunities or team fights that happen before an objective. When we pull up, wanted to fight, it's because a Fury was up or a Pyromancer was up or there was the ability to look towards the Fire Giant. Otherwise, they were farming very safely or just looking for consistent picks off the back of Anvil of Dawn. If I'm the Anansi Weavers going into game 2, and I know I said it's not a game that's won by 1, I would probably want to see one adjustment, though, and it's get PandaTurtle off the Thor.
Yeah, taking the Thor away. I wondered with the North American SOC specifically, with some of the name power that's on both of these teams, the Blubberbottoms, also a very talented squad. We pull up technically the second SOC team into this tournament. I was wondering if there would be some upsets SOC against some of the lower-tiered SCC teams, and honestly, it was an outplaying type scenario here, not just a couple of mistakes from the Weavers, but the SOC squad playing together very consistently. DonutDoug with a 22,000 damage. That's good for top in the game. So while PandaTurtle had the KDA and the initiation factor. DonutDoug there doing ADC things. Used to play on a team called DDD, the DonutDoug Diff, I think, it was what the third letter was there. Maybe a bit of that here in game number 1. You don't seem convinced. Are you not bought into that team name?
Donut Douglas Diff?
Yeah.
No, I mean that's fine. We pull up is better.
Better, of course.
Is better.
Yeah, if this is DonutDoug Diff in game 1, if that's the name of the team,
It's
I mean,
0-1.
Right, it's 0-1 for them for sure, and it's the Weavers taking the advantage. But don't worry, it's we pull up and they take the game 1 win here. We'll see if the Weavers do make some adjustments and pick some bans for game number 2 in our best of 3 set. If you're calling for a Thor ban, I wouldn't hate it unless the Weavers themselves are hoping to take it. For ChinFu, who has had some successful jungle Thor games over the last couple of days, and in Phase 3 of the SCC as well. Sylvanas is going to retain its ban spot here. I mean, suppose it's one of those things where if we pull up doesn't feel strongly enough about another individual character they need to take away. Because I could go to ChinFu, could go to BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM, and jungle Sylvanas, solo Sylvanas. That forces a lot of prioritization and playstyle differences, I suppose. No Thor ban from the Weavers just yet, and it won't be a Thor ban for we pull up either. So if Thor is it now in this set, it's up for grabs here in the first couple.
I love that Cern ban because I think had it been an Ishtar ban, it's almost guaranteed the Weavers take Thor for themselves. But with it being Cern, Ishtar just valuable enough that the Weavers will likely take it, and they do. This would leave we pull up in a position where if they so choose, could just go immediately back towards that Thor. Just really smart playing around the mental game, the human element in P's and B's. We'll see whether or not they actually decide to go towards that with this next pick, and they would. Previously, it was Cern and Thor. Cupid Thor, it's not that far of a departure. Even in playstyle, pretty similar, except Cupid does bring a little bit of that sustain in the late game.
What's your read on, I mean, I guess we'll get a different look as we get towards Worlds. If you start to look at the ADC pool, Ishtar, of course, up top. Cern has been up top. Do you think Cupid is kind of completing a 3-headed monster at the top of the tier list and then maybe a bit of drop-off before the next few? Do you think there's a way to strategize around getting one of the top 3 and you're not feeling too bad between a Cupid and a Cern, things like that? Do you think there's 3 up top and then a shift after that, or is it more mixed in? Everyone's good in different scenarios.
I think we got a clear, definitive top 2, Ishtar and Cern. Yep. I think there is maybe a conversation between Cupid and Charybdis being pretty equal in strength. Cupid, of course, that's a stain, I think, giving him the slight edge, and then otherwise, then we're starting to see more of a significant drop. But the top 2 is just that. We're not talking about the big 3. It's the big 2.
The big 2. So there is a slight drop-off from Cern to the Cupid, but you're still always going to be happy getting Cupid kind of that next got up in the ADC pool, it feels like. Hercules and Horus. So if you're looking for aggression to answer back from the Anansi Weavers here in game 2, you've got it. Ishtar, fantastic pick up top of the ADC God pool right now. And then a Hercules, I'll assume solo lane for now.
Strange assumption.
Why is that strange?
It's ChinFu. He plays Herc jungle.
Right,
that's like his thing.
Yeah, but BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM plays Sylvanas solo. I mean, who knows?
BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM also plays Herc. He's got a bunch of Herc players in this squad.
So but you would assume because it's ChinFu that it would be Herc jungle.
Yeah.
Is your guess?
I think so. I think
so. Don't backpedal now. You laid into me. You tore me apart seconds ago. Absolutely reamed me for suggesting that it might be Hercules solo. Oh, unlucky. All right, so it is probably Herc jungle now.
I was trying to give you the out, Dave. I was trying to give you the out.
I doubled down, and I was really hoping it'd be a jungle pick, but unless Jormungandr is doing something crazy here, and I think being picked in general potentially a bit crazy here, Myth.
Have my revenge.
So Herc jungle for ChinFu, huh? You got it right all along.
You know, I'd love to all in on the I told you so, but I feel like Yorm probably a bit more interesting as a topic.
Sure.
Just because we had seen him banned pretty consistently yesterday through a couple of sets. Jormungandr seems to be pretty popular in the North American SCC. I'm excited to see how they pilot it, whether or not it's that full mage style of build we've seen from all these other Guardians of the Soul Lane, or whether or not it's reminiscent of like Season 7 Yorm when he was pretty meta just for being incredibly safe in lane.
Yeah.
What he does bring is late game disruption, really good in getting into that back line, slowing down some of that initiation, and that's exactly what the Weavers need. They want to slow down this game and give Chronos space to operate.
You BM'd me anyway. It wasn't doubling down on I told you so with Herc, solo, or jungle, but you did tell me the topic I brought up was boring. So you BM'd me anyway, Myth. We'll go in to game number 2. Can the Weavers send us to 3? We'll find out with Goran Trelli.
Thanks so much, Dave and Myth. As we see the Weavers try to hold their own now against We Pull Up Trelli. And you know, I do want to take what Mifflin had just said about the Jormungandr at the very end there into account, because a lot of what he highlighted, you know, safe in lane, pretty survivable, good at getting to the backline and disrupting them. That sounds a lot like Cthulhu as well.
But everyone's a different role.
Oh my god, I didn't even notice that.
I think literally everyone. Sops is no longer mid, Diesel's no longer ADC, ChinFu is no longer jungle, TJ is no longer solo. Yeah, everyone's switched.
So I will give them some credit. 3 of these dudes typically play jungle anyway.
Yep.
So that maybe is less surprising. Now, doing that and swapping Sops, your mid laner, onto the Horus, the guy that was I mean, maybe Sops is a better support. Who knows? You know, there's got to be some line of thinking for him. Because Trelli, this is tournament life. I mean, this is, hey, you lose this game, you're done here. You lost yesterday. Maybe you have something to show for it. Uzzy getting bullied by the Yorm. And so maybe there's something more to this than meets the eye. Like the Transformers, which you can get those skins in Smite. I don't know if actually a Battle Pass is still available. Uzzy gonna have to play it carefully. Nice little route. Unfortunate for him. Great knock-up from BSTJ, and that is going to lock him down. Get a first blood over to the solo lane. I wanted to talk down about the Jormungandr, but I just don't think I'm going to be able to with a start like this.
You simply can't. Not when some great first bloods come through, as well as just great pressure. I think probably one of those situations where you don't play against Yorm too often, so you forget how much early pressure and how much good lane clear Yorm can have if you're not able to stun out that Bellow. But now some good damage going the way of Sops and Teep. But Sops is the one who's going to go down. DonutDoug gets credit for that kill.
Teep getting as low as they did causes trouble, but it doesn't seem to be enough. JinguBang is playing with fire, but so is Teep. Teep, no mana to work with. DonutDoug. Oh, I was wondering if they were going to be aggressive in this instant. No, it's just going to be fall back, heal up, try to survive. Which is the name of the game for, it seems like everybody. A lot of low health bars all across the board. ChinFu able to knock Uzzy pretty much right back down to the yellow. Finally takes over into the green, but no mana for the Cthulhu. PandaTurtle's hanging around. It's a blue buff. At least invade attempt. PandaTurtle's going to keep eyes on that one. Secured by the Weavers. So they're successful on their invade, and they are making sure that Uzzy feels unhappy.
If I remember correctly, this is Big Slim and ChinFu's 3rd role they've played in the SCC. Because I'm pretty sure ChinFu started in mid and then went, or no, started in ADC rather, then went to jungle, and then now is playing solo. And Big Slim was support, and then was solo, and then jungle. So yeah, solid 3 roles for both of them. They're both just multi-role prodigies at the moment. Are up in gold as well, so they're making it work so far. The question is, can you translate that to late game aggression? You got a Chronos on your side, you got an Ishtar as well. I'm thinking it's possible.
Yeah. They also did like the only thing that, like, so David said that he thought Hercules was going to go solo, BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM was going to play it because that was one of his like big guys.
Right.
And Myth said that it was going to go into the jungle, that ChinFu was going to play it because they like running Hercules jungle. They did the one thing that could prove them both right and wrong at the exact same time.
Yep. And I like it.
And throw him into the jungle. So far, it's been good, right? I mean, a good knock-up onto the Cthulhu early on. We haven't seen too much outside of that, but Hercules, it's something that the Weavers have run in the past and have made look good when BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM was in that support role, as you had highlighted. It was very comfortable. It just, I'm still flabbergasted trying to get my head around the changes for him. But it gave him first blood. They're sitting, what, 800 gold ahead. How it translates into the lane. We saw what PandaTurtle was able to do on this Thor as time went on. Something they need to be worried about. DonutDoug needs to be worried about just staying alive right now. Beads used. And that's going to be enough. Ult for Beads, though, is the trade. And JinguBang can feel happy about that one, knowing that the ult's going to be up a lot sooner.
Yeah, it certainly is. Left side of the map could be or the Weavers are trying to get more aggressive when you see a Cupid without beads, but it looks like the right side of the map is where we pull up. Might want to try and get aggressive onto BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM. Good walls.
Wow.
Keep him in place, and now he could be in trouble.
Throw up the jail cell and lock him down, but
What?
they turn it around. They kill off PandaTurtle. They trade it 1-for-1 in the 3v2. The Weavers looking good in a scenario that should not go their way. And keeping things even slightly in their favor after another skirmish in the jungle.
Man, you really can't fight Herc early. I mean, it just, you stack up that passive, he starts swinging a little bit harder. I liked your analogy, the jail cell. It's what it seemed like he was in, wall on one side, wall on the other, but turns out there was a way out. And it was just to throw a beach ball at the wall, and it just absolutely popped.
The downside is, like, hey, we put you in this tiny little box. Your boulder bounces around in this tiny little box. We're all going to get hit so much.
It did like 370 damage or something. Now, looks like a little bit of damage towards Soul Reaper could be in some trouble. And here comes PandaTurtle, cleaning up that kill onto Sops. Maybe Diesel, also the target of some fire.
Wow, even uses the beads to stay aggressive. Good from PandaTurtle. Now Big Slim has to play cautiously. Freeze isn't there for Teep. Soul Reaper, I thought for sure Soul Reaper was dead. I thought that was going to be a very easy conversation. Soul Reaper dies, me and you just start chatting.
Yep.
Instead, a good dunk from PandaTurtle helps out the mid laner, stays aggressive, uses the beads aggressively, and they pick up a couple of kills. And Trelly, that was a little bit of the concern I had, knowing that we pull up, at least for PandaTurtle, just got practice on this god. And everybody on the Weavers has done a little dance as to where they're going to be playing. Granted, it's been fun to watch. Stun's not going to be here right now for JinguBang.
There it is.
No, there it is. He gets in the position for it. A lot of damage. The dash is good. The push against the wall, though, just a little better. The jungle shows up just in time, and the Weaver's going to put another one on the board.
Yeah, DonutDoug was trying to immune those swords however possible, but unfortunately, JinguBang had the cutoff and was able to hit every single one off of that stun. Now Diesel has no idea he's surrounded by 3, goes into the beads.
What a wall! Keeps him locked down. That one's pretty straightforward. That's just good damage, good CC. TeepIsBald serves it up on a silver platter for PandaTurtle to pick up. I do have to admire, though, JinguBang, like, he threw out the ult, saw what DonutDoug was doing, and instead of just continuing an onslaught of autos, just turned and ran to try and match him. That's what not the Cthulhu, the Jormungandr needs to do right now.
The zone we were in, just to see the cat charging towards us was just great. Beautiful ult there, and TeepIsBald going down, but PandaTurtle wants to try and return some damage.
They really took that comment we made about their pace last game to heart. Now it's going to be Sops going in. Oh no, but Big Slim doesn't go with him. The support alone doesn't get met with the CC. Instead, it's the Hercules going forward. Trying to run away, you have to imagine, up in the air. Where's the dunk going to land? It has to be on this Hercules. No, it's going to be right down the middle, and it's not going to be enough to find the CC for anybody.
What?
Hammer's not going to tap. He teleports to it, and this is going to help the Hercules. What a great freeze from the Ymir, but what an easy kill for Big Slim. Yeah, he might be deep in the jungle. You might finally take him down, but he killed your mid laner. He killed your jungler. And he's going to be able to spend some of that time in the gray screen smiling with the accomplishments he had, while Sops just runs away.
Yeah, I'm surprised PandaTurtle went in there. I mean, anytime you hammer it next to BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM, you're getting hit by a driving strike for 400 damage at this point. With that build, especially the Hydra's hit after, it was tier 2 at the moment, but still big damage coming from this Hercules. Turns out, most of the kills going to Hercules means he's going to absolutely swing in the early game. And once that Anvil of Dawn missed out, there's really no way they're going to be able to get a clean pick onto the Herc. With that being said, though, 6-6, still about 1.3k gold in favor of the Weavers. They have been the aggressive force so far in this game pre-10 minutes. And I think you're right. They heard our comments about how it was a little slow in
yeah,
game
we hit
number
16 minutes 3-3, and they were like, never again shall it happen. I'm sorry.
They are making sure to try and keep that pace much, much hotter. And actually, a grouping towards the left side, I was wondering if it was a possibility to see a Gold Fury pull, but not with that build that Soul Reaper has so far. The Bluestone, the Transcendence, not enough damage to really burn through that Fury, especially pre-10 minutes.
Kind
maybe
of the
one
opposite
more.
of the Soul, right? Like, the Soul was like, let's get aggressive, let's go in, let's do stuff early. This is very timid from the Medusa.
Yeah, but PandaTurtle is hiding so sneakily trying to find a wall on a JinguBang. Decided against it. Just going to steal away some of these offerings, but not going to be too big of a deal. I'm wondering where the aggression will be next at this point. It looks like possibly on the Diesel. Good wall, but no damage to follow up.
Yeah, nobody wants to fight, despite the fact that it felt like they were looking for one. JinguBang now getting aggressive on a DonutDoug again. We've seen that story a couple of times. Up to the sky goes PandaTurtle, come crashing down. That's going to force the beads. No wall follow-up. Expected a little more. Maybe it's because Sops is on the way. PandaTurtle doesn't want to play into it, so they're just going to pack off, get their own buffs, but they're going to have to play carefully. Hercules is right around the corner. The wall's not going to connect. Purple buff is secured, but it does not matter. DonutDoug does not get to leave with their life. Sops playing aggressively. Now you've not only got Big Slim over here, Diesel as well joining the fray. This is starting to scream tower dive. Damage is so far so good on the PandaTurtle. Nobody's been able to lock him down just enough. Nice little hammer tap, and now you are locked away, and it's going to be an easy dive for the rest of the Weavers. Teep just trying to run away, trying to stay alive, but there's no one to help you. And even the wall can't get the distance necessary. Double kill for the 8-2-1 Hercules and Trelly. This roster, this lineup, the way that they've swapped things, feels like it's doing way better than game number 1.
Yeah, Big Slim, Timmy Jim on the Hercules. Does he have the boulder? He does. Goodbye to Soul Reaper.
Wow.
9-2-1. And I don't see him stopping anytime soon. I mean, the Herc is only going to get better until there's a plateau, like late game. But it's going to be so long before he hits that plateau. Big Slim can kill just about anyone that he shows up to. I mean, it's just the driving strike auto, 2 auto ult. Like that's the combo, right? If you get that excavate, you're pretty much one-shotting carries at this point, as long as you're getting those hi-rez procs weaved into the combo. It doesn't seem like Big Slim is missing too much so far.
Just decimating. I mean, we're talking similar performance yesterday. I believe it was actually, we pull up, having to deal with Oath on the Susano. I think the game number 2 for them yesterday was a little easier. Game 1, there was a single death super early on for Oath, and then he ended up getting 10 in a row. And right now it feels like Big Slim is just on the right trajectory, to the point where it's just so blatantly overshadowing everybody else. I mean, a lot of what's happening is good CC from the Hercules, but also good CC from an Ishtar, good CC from a Horus, good CC from a Chronos that are really enabling the team. Meanwhile, it's just this Ymir on the other side that's been able to do stuff so far. Look at that damage. It's absolutely insane. Boulder off the mark and doesn't even need it to get the rampage going for him. This is going to be a Gold Fury pull for the Weavers. And we pull up are going to have to figure out what they want to do, because as of right now, they are getting flattened to the ground, and there's not much they can do about it. 5,500 gold separating them. Now they're going to start up a fight. PandaTurtle starts to lead the way. DonutDoug's able to get a kill. Soul Reaper, though, loses their life for the trouble. With ChinFu coming into the back. 2 large disruptive ults that can come through. Uzzy pops theirs first. It seems like the rest of the call is just trade Sops for the mid laner and the Fury. Go ahead and get out of there. The Weavers walk away happy with this trade.
Yeah, they certainly do. Getting that Fury down, getting an extra pick on the Soul Reaper seems worth enough. You lose one, but not going to be the biggest deal in the world. And more specifically, Uzzy makes that rotation, but really was not able to do too much with that Cthulhu ultimate. Possible chance to find damage, but ChinFu immediately answers back, and now it's PandaTurtle who has to be on the run here. One more hit will do it. Can he find it? No. But will the spit come out after? And also, no, a little off the mark.
He uses some CC immunity. The beads get popped there, and ChinFu's going to pay for it barely, but the damage is there. But I mean, you've got backup at this point. Who even cares? That wall is the only saving grace. Otherwise, I think we see 3 more dead bodies from we pull up. Just the aggression from Diesel and Big Slim there. Hell, the aggression from ChinFu going in on that last jump from the ult. Something we don't typically see out of the Jormungandrs. Usually the last one's used to get out of there. Weavers lead 13-8. And Trelly, they do not disappoint with the amount of kills that the teams are putting up on the board.
Yeah, definitely not. Trying to get Diesel to late game. Trying to get JinguBang to late game, but BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM, really the one who's trying to get to late game. This Hercules working on a Blood Forge next, I would assume, just for some extra damage and a good shield after. You know, when you got 11 kills, you got to imagine you're planning to get some more. You're planning to get that extra shielding.
You're very certain that you're going to have that shield in a lot of these fights.
Yeah, you are counting on it, so probably a smart item change. It's gonna help with some extra damage as well. Fire Giant is the only neutral objective up currently, with the Oni Fury and the Pyromancer not spawning in for a little bit. So what happens in the meantime? That's the question. I'm keeping my eyes on the Hercules. Sops has also been getting extremely aggressive on the Horus, has Blink available, so maybe a Fracture to try and find some beads. But considering the fact that all those relics are down, it looks like stop of the aggression, you would imagine, DonutDoug is going to trade out the ult for JinguBang's ultimate, just to see what can happen. PandaTurtle going into the sky for Diesel or Sops, I suppose?
I don't know if there's anybody that's over there that I want to get into a fight with. Luckily, with Anvil of Dawn, you can also get the vision. You see too many members of the Weavers hanging out on the left. Spoke from the Jormungandr. ChinFu forced to use the ult super early. No beads, no Aegis there. Big Slim is either in trouble or causing trouble. It remains to be seen. Seems like causing is going to be what happens next. Low health bar, though, and they're finally going to shut down the Hercules. 11-3. And can they continue this tear? Sops getting low. One more hit is all they need, just shy of the damage. Instead, it's Teep who ends up falling down. Sops body block. PandaTurtle looking for the last auto. Uzzy will take that one. PandaTurtle playing with fire. ChinFu gets aggressive. They've got JinguBang. They've got Diesel. They've got the hard hitters. And that's going to force Pull up to run back, but a huge shutdown onto the jungle for the Weavers.
Yeah, Diesel is doing absolute ridiculous amounts of damage on this Chronos. We've been hyping up the Hercules a lot, but those polyprocs as well as the time rifts, so much has been coming through from this Chronos. Just a lot of power built. All the while, Soul Reaper decided, hey, I'm going to go push right if you guys don't mind. And got some extra farm over on that side of the map, which probably was the right call. I mean, you're down a solid 5,000-6,000 gold. It's nice to brawl in mid lane. It's nice to clean up those kills, and the shutdown on Hercules is massive, but farm is really what Pull up need, trying to get themselves online for late game. Definitely seems like the best call. With that being said, though, someone's got to kill Diesel. The Chronos relics have been forced, the rewinds have been forced, all true. But this Chronos, if left to free cast, is going to be able to hard carry this game away just by nature of those poly shots and how much the abilities on this Chronos are doing.
It feels like right now might be the time to try and shut him down. Instead, PandaTurtle goes in onto Big Slim, has some help though, and they're going to be able to shut down the jungler one more time. PandaTurtle almost loses their life, but keeps things going now. Pyromancer's back. Diesel still a threat, so they're going to instead go for the Greater Scorpion here. I actually believe just now secured by Diesel with that last hit. There's going to be a time rift just off the mark. Slams down some more damage. Teep taking way too much poke here. And just like you said, these carries, somebody's got to get back to him. Somebody's got to slow him down. JinguBang even leading the way with Sops. Once Teep was gone, support for jungle. But it seems like the Weavers are also going to add Pyromancer onto their side of the scale and maintain their lead. 6,000 gold. They have to play carefully here. Those Sops taking a little bit of damage. There's the Cthulhu ult. DonutDoug is just getting deleted. Nobody cares about his health bar. Finally, someone's going to return the damage and at least go 1 for 1. But is that worthwhile, losing your Cupid so quickly when Diesel's still up on the Chronos? And you have nothing else really going for your team. They have to fall back from the fight.
Yeah, Uzzy was getting real low there in that Ascend to Madness, but ChinFu was off the mark with the spit. He's not able to confirm that kill. And as you said, DonutDoug building heavily into the crit, but that does mean that these tanks aren't getting shredded through just yet. Once that Deathbringer comes through, maybe ChinFu has to put some more respect towards that Cupid damage. But it's just levels at this point that Pull up desperately needs. I mean, the Weavers have all sorts of control. It just seems like even though Big Slim has been dying a bit in these fights, still does insane damage before going down. Now this Oni Fury getting melted by the Chronos. That's going to go the way of the Weavers, uncontested, as you would imagine. I want to see fights towards the Fire Giant, though. We're almost at that point for the Weavers, I should say. DonutDoug needs another item or two. I mean, he's level 16. Would love to just go split push the way in left lane and say, hey, I'll come back when I can fight towards that Fire Giant. It's not going to be for 3 minutes, 5 minutes or so, depending on if he's contested for that farm. But the Weavers are in a position where they're calm. Most of it's going to get better, but a little bit, the full damage Jorm and the Hercules specifically are going to fall off. They need to push this lead as quickly as possible, and I think Fire Giant would be a great way to get that done.
It'd be nice to see we pull up, step up to the Fire Giant. But like you said, there's a lot of them in 2 levels. You're looking at specifically for just the carries, but also in the jungle. PandaTurtle has been able to provide a decent amount of damage in these fights. But you're going to need to survive a lot better than they've seen the last couple of times. There's going to be a blink forward, push into the wall, immediate wall stun.
He's stuck.
They're trying to get the damage. They've got the body blocks. There's the freeze. There's the damage, and good timing just before the excavate can come through. But unfortunately, here's the follow-up from the Weavers. And it's just going to be a couple autos. Good Aegis from PandaTurtle, and then a nice hammer. It's going to get him over the wall. Diesel doesn't have the range. Definitely has the damage. But luckily for PandaTurtle, they're going to get on out of there. So 1 for 1 once again. Uzzy's also been getting bullied pretty hard. Not the way and thing that I'm used to seeing up against a Cthulhu of all gods. It is just not someone that normally is getting kind of shoved around the lane as easily. But Trelly, you're going to get your wish. It's a start up around the Fire Giant for the Weavers.
Yep, Diesel does do pretty good damage, and JinguBang on the way.
PandaTurtle.
Up to the sky goes PandaTurtle, but I don't see a great place to land.
It's on top of Diesel. It's just to force the relics. What a great job, at least getting the beads and the Aegis. Can you follow through and get out of there? No, what a good shot as well. Weaves it perfectly in there for Diesel. And so Trelly, it's the great scales of fate. 2 relics off the mid laner, but your jungler's gone. And you get him off the Fire Giant. I have to imagine it's still slightly in favor of the Weavers.
Right, DonutDoug all the while though was split pushing left, was able to finish up that Deathbringer, and is now on the way over to Fire Giant. Big Slim had to stop that split push, so he's still over on the left side of the map currently. There's no way FG actually gets pulled in this situation though. ChinFu is too weak, but it looks like with a little bit of sustain, it is going to be started up once again. We pull up. Probably feels fine going for this, but Big Slim has returned to the fight as well.
As he has Descent to Madness, uses it a lot earlier than I thought we were going to see it. Big Slim's getting melted right now. Soul Reaper has decided to show up this game. And the damage is finally there. Have to keep your eyes on DonutDoug as well. Soul Reaper, a double kill from the mid laner. And finally, a fight for We Pull Up that is going in their favor. The slow onto Diesel. No relics to use thanks to your jungler. A triple kill for Soul Reaper. The Medusa has been quiet all game long and finally steps up when the team needs it.
Fire Giant has been started up here, and PandaTurtle is showing up just to make sure no one else gets into this pit. Goes to the sky, maybe finds ChinFu, and will be able to. Can't even get up into the World Serpent. You're going down. We Pull Up are going to get themselves a Fire Giant. Still down gold-wise, but there's a lot on the map for them to grab in the meantime, Gore. Only sops up in the next second. It's going to be just the duo lane for quite some time.
That's exactly what I was going to highlight, though. Look at the charts. The plummet. I mean, that is a roller coaster ride. That is a thrill-ride level of drop. And well played by We Pull Up. I mean, down 6,000 gold, now only 2,000. Going to close that gap quickly. And you have to question whether or not it was the Weavers making mistakes, maybe too aggressive, or maybe it was just Soul Reaper stepping up and being a massive, massive boon. But from 600 in the hole to dead even in terms of gold, from 5,000 experience down to now in the lead. 3 levels for the support. That's where a lot of it's going to be. TeepIsBald leading the way for that team. And you know, at the time, Trelly, had me scratching my head as to whether or not it was going to be worthwhile, but you have to give a little credit. PandaTurtle sets that up beautifully, loses their life, pulls the Weavers off the Fire Giant, and gets both of Diesel's relics.
Yep.
And if that doesn't happen, that kill, that triple kill for Soul Reaper never exists.
Yep, and I think also, I talked about it early on in the game, but I did not think that Big Slim would arrive at the fall-off point of Hercules jungle so quick. But here's an ambush set up by the Weavers, and they're looking for TeepIsBald.
Teep does not seem to care too much. Finally taking some damage. Nice freeze. Forces a lot of beads. And there's the dunk down. They might have invested way too much. much. They get the Ymir, but you've lost 3 in the process. What can you pick up? You have to make this worthwhile. 4 are gone. It's going to be 5. It's going to be the full-on deicide. They just have to close this gap, but they've lost 2 Trelly in the process, and they are chasing Big Slim all around the world. They're going to get it, but at what cost? But this amount of time, you have to imagine at least this tier 2 should be the Phoenix.
Yeah, tier 2 going down for sure. Take a look at the relics from DonutDoug. He has Aegis available. So if Sops is the one who's trying to defend Phoenix, it's not going to be easy to try and put pressure onto this Cupid. No spectral armor as well, so these crits will be hitting hard. And they've got plenty of heals with the Trebuchet on the way. Your only hope is that ChinFu can ult in. And I don't think so. Sops is going to have to put up a heck of a defense. Immediately goes to DonutDoug. And there's nowhere for him to dash to, but focus the Phoenix. Yeah, that's definitely the call.
They've got the minion wave as well. Backdoor protection's gone. And luckily Uzzy playing bully, and more specifically Lightning Rod, keeping DonutDoug safe from the attention, from the stuns, the knockups, things like that. So the Weavers do get the Phoenix just in time as the rest, or sorry, we pull up, get the Phoenix just as the Weavers respawn. And Charlie, I mean, talk about fall off, right? We were talking about 11-2 at one point, now 13-7 for the Hercules jungle. Feels like in the blink of an eye, things went from just all right to catastrophic, and it's not getting any better. Oh no, Diesel just deleted Sops, nowhere to run. And that's going to be 2 clean kills in the jungle. Fire Giant still exists for 40 seconds. That's going to open up another bird.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. Herc hasn't even reached the fall-off point yet. Now the Hidden Blade's online. This is when Herc does not get any better. You know, it's over. It's big damage, but you get turned on. Throws the boulder, does do some good damage and double taps, but goodbye JinguBang. Actually, DonutDoug real weak here. ChinFu's going to have to try and go for this one and finds it. The ADC is no more, but Soul Reaper's getting 1v1 by Tim.
And that's so far working out pretty well. Nice stun, but is it going to be enough? Your lifesteal's there, but the damage is just not good enough. The Aussie passive trying to put in the work. Now they don't have any carries. That Phoenix gets to survive. Maybe a little too much for We Pull Up to try and go for there. They still have 4,000 in the lead. They get a lot of kills in the process. But losing their carries can't necessarily feel good. Charlie, you have to remember, grand scheme, Weavers, if you lose this game, you are the second SCC team in 2 weeks to be eliminated by an open circuit team. So you have to imagine the pressure is mounting for them. And from what we just saw, the damage is still there.
Oh yeah.
It's just all about the engage, making sure that stays clean for them.
It seems like if Big Slim can play this Hercules as a jungler should, right? Where you're hiding in the backline, waiting for a dash to go down, waiting for a relic to be used, and then just blink in and do as much damage as possible. It can still work. It still does have that delete potential that you would expect from a full damage Hidden Blade Hercules. It's just, if that burst does not kill, We Pull Up turns on you so fast. It just so easily you delete this Hercules as well. So the positioning is going to have to be on point. Left side, Phoenix is down, and the Weavers are pushing up towards Fire Giant, possibly looking to set up an ambush. PandaTurtle does not get knocked up out of his hammer, and is going to be able to close gap. But someone's got to go back for that wave, unless they decide to fight right now, and that's what the Weavers are looking for. They don't want to worry about fire minions. They want to fight this second.
It's going to be the Fields of Love. DonutDoug takes a lot of damage. Sops gets bursted, though, instantly. Boulder flies through, does hit Soul Reaver. So maybe opens up an opportunity for the Hercules to try and find something. There's going to be PandaTurtle up and down. Descent into Madness isn't getting as much as they need. The mid laner's gone. ChinFu does trade out his life for it, but they still got the jungle. They've still got Diesel. They've got enough to work with. JinguBang going down. Maybe puts a little fork in their plan. It's a 2v3. Good double tap from PandaTurtle. Playing with fire, though, over the wall. Not able to find the damage from Diesel. And the rewind just in time. That actually might be great for Diesel. Now able to loop around looking for PandaTurtle. Goes in and trades it out. What a double tap. 1-for-1. But now they're looking for more. Hercules just off the board. Good wall. Heart bombs there. And look, Big Slim, you can heal up a lot, but not enough for this one. 8 people on the board die. The last 2 standing, TeepIsBald and DonutDoug. We pull up. We're going to pull the Fire Giant.
I'm wondering if this is even worth, because Enhanced Fire Giant comes up in 50 seconds. And it's only going to be on 3 members if you're waiting for ChinFu, and JinguBang's a 4. It's one of those situations where they've got the call, yeah, Soul Reaper's going to get it, Uzzy's going to get it. You can't wait for a PandaTurtle, though, unless you're just so sure that no one from the Weavers is going to step up towards this Fire Giant. And it looks like they are going to wait here. They may even wait for Enhanced Fire Giant if they get the vision. This is what I was worried about. Are you going to be able to dance? And they're pinging it. Someone's going to have to walk up here. If ChinFu can show up in the next 20 seconds, that could be disastrous.
Well,
But it looks like they're just going to go for regular Fire Giant. No, they're going to try and wait.
they're holding on to it. PandaTurtle's back.
Can he
ChinFu's
go?
here. ChinFu's going to go. Max range on ult 1, ult 2.
He's going.
Ult 3.
Oh.
No, does not go in.
Because they didn't
Holds
wait for
it.
EFG. They got
They
it 2
got
seconds
2
before.
seconds too early?
Yeah, I was thinking this. I was doing the mental gymnastics of they want to get fire on everyone, but they want EFG. So are they going to stall out this game? And ChinFu's like, wait, fire should have went. Oh, I got to go. And just goes immediately up into that World Serpent to try and steal it away. Great play. Because at the very least, ChinFu's ultimate just forced not Enhanced Fire Giant, which is massive this late into the game. But you did lose left bird in the process, which is a little bit unfortunate.
Trade-offs sometimes that have to be made.
Yep.
But I would argue, honestly, making it harder for them to siege, specifically the last 2 Phoenixes, is going to be a nice big deal for the Weavers in terms of holding on. The Weavers, though, backs against the wall. Damage has been there, Trelly, but it's been these back-and-forth trades each time. It feels like if Diesel's able to get into a good spot, sometimes that can be enough. ChinFu just trying to stay alive. PandaTurtle's going to chase after this ult is done. You have to imagine it's going to be a kill. No! Off the mark with everything, but then all the damage that gets dumped accidentally into Diesel is enough to kill off the Chronos. That opens up the door, but PandaTurtle trades out their life. Does not seem to be enough. 2 for 1 so far. And Trelly, it doesn't seem like it's going to be getting any better. Sops already melting alongside the rest of the Weavers. And for the second time in 2 weeks, an SCC team is being sent home by their open circuit representatives. We pull up, keep their tournament life going.
They certainly did. The full roster swap did help a little bit for the Weavers. Roll swap, I should say, in the early game, but just did not translate well into the late game team fight that was needed. Big damage coming from Big Slim, big damage coming from Diesel. But it was the turnaround from PandaTurtle, from Soul Reaper. They were doing so much as well. I think DonutDoug making those rotations in really helped out the squad. I was saying, if Cupid could just sit in lane for a solid 2-3 minutes and then rotate in, the fight would look a lot cleaner. And that's exactly what happened.
I mean, we were in lead conversations to the point where I am certainly ready to be talking about game number 3, right? Because it just felt like the Weavers were that far ahead, that much in control. And you had said, like, okay, you expected a Hercules to hit a plateau at some point.
Yeah.
But it came a little faster than you were expecting.
Yeah, I thought that Herc was going to be deleting people until, like, level 20 Hidden Blade, and everyone else caught up, but it just seemed like the team realized, wait, we can kind of turn on this guy. You know, we wait for Driving Strike, and we just focus Hercules. We can also deal with him that way.
Well, luckily for them, they do turn it around. We pull up, defeat the Weavers this time around. They do it in a nice 2-0 as well. A beautiful comeback in game number 2. But you don't got to take it from us. You don't have to take what you just saw. They're going to break it down on the desk and tell you a little more.
Again, the SOC send the SCC home. Happened over in EU last weekend, happens here in North America this weekend. And it's We Pull Up finally capitalizing on a lot of the talent that this roster has. An unfortunate end to the year for the Anansi Weavers, but a continuation now for this We Pull Up squad. And honestly, it's a run back of a lot of the same that we saw in game 1 that worked. It was a jungle masterclass all over again. The Thor looked fantastic. You know, admittedly, it's hard to draw too much here. I think the Weavers roll swap, hoping to find something, and I guess it draws this game out, Myth, but We Pull Up, we're stable and able to get the 2-0.
Highly contentious early game. I mean, there was brawling all the way across the map, almost regardless of what's happening around the map. Didn't start around Gold Furies, didn't start around Purples, wasn't around Invades, but fights were happening nonetheless. Kept the game even until it wasn't. Anansi Weavers actually established a pretty sizable lead, but a couple flubbed team fights. The Weavers never really regrouped. Felt like it was one team fight around that 20-some-odd minute point where We Pull Up finally find their footing. And from there, the Weavers kept taking 5 versus 3s or 5 versus 4s. And, well, even with a lead, we pull up with a numbers advantage. We're able to win out pretty consistently from there.
Yep.
And it was a meteoric fall for the Weavers and a massive rise for We Pull Up. And it's off the back of the guy on your screen right now. Really loved what we've seen from PandaTurtle once more. That Thor starting to seem like something teams should be taking notice of. Start taking that out of his hands because he has been consistent on this pick. DonutDoug has himself a phenomenal game as well. The Cupid may not be top 2 in power rankings, but looks pretty good when DonutDoug's at the wheel.
Well, yeah, top 3 though, right? I mean, a little bit of a gap between
That's not top
3 and
2.
2. You're right, but when you open it up a bit more, DonutDoug able to have a great game at 6-4 and 12, 11-6 and 13 for PandaTurtle. You know, so the role swap. So I don't know where we landed on this. We were arguing over Herc solo versus Herc jungle. It technically was jungle, but it was BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM playing it in the jungle on a role swap. So you were right in Herc jungle, technically,
and
right?
you were right that it was BIGSLIMTIMMYJIM.
And you know what? We're all winners here. Unless you're the Anansi Weavers. You get 2-0'd by We Pull Up.
Shots fired.
I'm just reading the data.
Simply
And
stats.
Simply stats. And We Pull Up now. They have this X factor, right? I don't think this squad favored to move on to Worlds into the group stages, but now they're starting to play with a bit of momentum behind them. And so We Pull Up in a really unique spot, especially moving forward here in this bracket and on this side of things that could potentially catch some teams off guard. I don't know what the future holds for this Anansi Weavers team, Miff. I mean, I think they were able to remain competitive at points throughout Phase 3, and they were able to get to Game 3s, things like that. Now we'll have some downtime to reassess what this exact roster wants to do. But We Pull Up, they continue on, and We Pull Up could potentially, again, maybe catch some teams off guard. Group A is a continuation here in this side of the bracket, and it's We Pull Up awaiting the loser of the Eldritch Hounds and the Cowlin Wardens. That will not be our next match, but it'll be the one after that, our 3rd match of the day, where the winner will move on to the Elim stage and the loser will face We Pull Up for one more spot in the Elim stage a bit later on. And so, you know, you look at the Cowlin Wardens and the Weavers, they go to 3. We Pull Up beats the Weavers in 2. Should the Wardens lose later on today, We Pull Up versus Cowlin Wardens becomes a very, very interesting matchup. So, that's some Group A action today. Group B about to begin for the day as well, and it's the same emphasis on the first matchup over in Group B. It's the Blubber Bottoms versus Xibalba Storm and SOC squad against one of the slightly lower-seeded SCC teams. That one also an elimination match, Miff. Do you see the same type of talent, the same type of potential between Blubber Bottoms and Xibalba Storm in our next matchup? You can say, you're allowed to say no.
Am I allowed to?
Yes.
Give me explicit permission right now.
If you do not think the Blubber Bottoms are going to upset the Storm, or vice versa, you can say no.
I'm pretty sure Storm's got this one.
Okay. Why do you think that?
I feel like they've got really strong talent behind them. The Storm probably very unhappy with how their previous set had gone. I think they're going to come out swinging with some hyper aggression, and Blubber Bottoms haven't quite impressed me to the same degree that We Pull Up has.
Well, Blubber Bottoms does have the talent, so I'm really excited to see what they could bring up against the Xibalba Storm in our next matchup of the day. But I think you still got to give props. You look at this match we just watched. We Pull Up, the SOC team, your 2nd seed SOC team, able to upset the SCC and move themselves on. Another SCC versus SOC matchup, and an elimination one at that, coming up next. So stick around.